What's going on, guys? Good morning. Good morning. Any minute now, we're about to get a CPI drop.
.com.
We're just seconds away now from May consumer price index data. The futures have improved a little bit, but we're red across the board. The Treasuries, the yield curve, most of the numbers that we follow are at some key levels, sort of. You see the 30-year just below 5, 10-year just above 4.5, and the 2-year just above 4.0. So we should be able to see exactly what happens from this. Rick Santelli standing by at the CME. Leisman is around, so's Santoli. Let's get the numbers, Rick.
Yes, our May read on the consumer price index. On the headline number, expected up 0.2, comes in on the light side, up 0.1%. That follows, at least for now, unrevised up 0.2. Up 0.1 will be the lightest since it was minus 0.1 in March of this year. If you strip out the all-important food and energy, it remains up 0.1%. That's 0.2 lighter than we were expecting, 0.1 lighter than the rear view mirror. Up 0.1 equals where we were in March of this year. To find a lower number, you're going to 0, which was January of 21. Now, let's take the year-over-year perspective. Expecting year-over-year headline up 2.4, and it arrives exactly up 2.4. That is 0.1 hotter than our last look at 2.3. It equals the 2.4 in March. 2.8 was February. That's the higher number we're comping to. Finally, if we go year-over-year core ex food and energy, it's up 2.8, 0.1 lighter than we were expecting, equals where we were last month. 2.8 actually now is third consecutive month in a row. If you want a smaller number than that, you're going all the way back to March of 21 when it was up 1.6. Now, I always like to look at the indices. These indices go back quite a ways. If you look at CPI headline index, it goes back to 1913, and the number today, 321.465, might not mean anything to viewers intrinsically, but it is the highest level on this index ever, going back to 1913. That should mean something. And if we strip out the all-important food and energy, it comes in at 326.854. Once again, this number started out in 1957 on the core. It's never been higher. We see that the pre-opening equities, well, they have improved rather markedly. We now see green, and interest rates have dropped dramatically. We're hovering just a whisker under 4.5% in the 10-year. We're now at 4.44%. So definitely the cooler than expected monthly numbers, once again, are going to create that wonderful weekend armchair quarterback scenario of trying to look at the outlying months over the next 3 and 6 months and trying to discover what they may be using the current monthly estimates. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, and inflation certainly looks like it is cooling a bit, but as the year-over-year numbers do tell us, Joe and the gang, we're still a little bit on the high side with a 2% target. I'm interested to see if anybody at CNBC today talks about the notion that the Bureau of Labor Statistics isn't doing an adequate job of polling for CPI due to freezing of hiring or maybe even cutbacks due to the current administration. My one question would be, what was their enrollment and what was their rank and staff prior to COVID? Let's see what the comparison is. Joe, back to
And why would fewer people wouldn't necessarily give you cooler numbers? It could just be a higher margin for error. So, you know, I'll tell you, Rick, the people that we've been having on, even though they think next month will be even more telling about tariffs, but a lot of them were looking for something. We just had Michelle Girard on. She's been looking at something worse every month. Once again, it didn't happen.
Are you hinting that those 9 Democratic senators trying to have this looked into at the Bureau of Labor Statistics have political motivations?
But Rick,
are you even hinting that?
No, but Rick, 3%. People said we'll go back to 3, and it didn't. It stayed at 2.8, right? So this is definitely.
Listen, I'm very surprised. It's been well behaved. It has. It has been well behaved.
But it doesn't mean next month, you know, things can change quickly. Steve Leisman, I don't know whether you thought we're going to get your reaction. I don't know whether you thought this would be the month where we started seeing at least some effect, or do we got to wait another month? Or does it never come? That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, I want to make a broader point here, Joe, which is this. I still think there is tariff impact to come. You can see a little bit of tariff impact in places like appliances up 0.8% 2 months in a row. Something important to me, music equipment up 0.4, photo equipment up 1.6. But that's not the broader point I want to make. I want to make this point, which is that the concern at the Federal Reserve was not just that tariff-related prices would go up. It's that it would spread more broadly to other tariff prices, and that the issue of inflation expectations, which you talked about very eloquently this morning with Richard Clarida, would be an issue for the Federal Reserve. Not only did we get a decline in inflation expectations earlier this week from the important New York Fed report, but even if I zero in on just the tariff-related increases, I look elsewhere and I do not see broader impacts on inflation from the tariffs. So yes, I expect tariffs prices to come. You cannot collect year-to-date $70 billion in tariff revenue and not have prices go up. That is going to happen. The broader concern at the Federal Reserve is that it spreads to other areas. We do not see that. I think that's an important development that could help the Fed when the time is right and they're confident to cut interest rates. I will just tell you, gas down 2.6%, real earnings, importantly, up 0.3%. New vehicles fell, used vehicles fell. Importantly, apparel, which is a big imported item.
What is going on, guys? So you heard there that CPI came in line year over year, but more importantly, core CPI, which strips out food and energy, came in 0.1% month over month versus 0.3% expected. And you see now the Fed's, well, we'll go back to that in a second. So CPI month over month actually coming in much less than expected, which I don't think anybody in the mainstream media had on their bingo card, because everyone was talking about inflationary effects from tariffs. Now, you can make the case that the tariffs have not been implemented in the way that was originally announced on April 2nd, not even close. So there's that, right? Obviously, if those tariffs were actually implemented in that way that we saw on Liberation Day, then I think, yeah, obviously the inflationary pressure would be a lot more. Now, does the Fed have impetus to cut interest rates? A lot of people will start arguing, yes, unemployment is not crazy. It's coming in line at 4.1, 4.2% every month, and inflation is going down. The Fed will likely continue to say that they're not, that until the tariff policy is ironed out, we are not going to cut rates. That will be their mode. Now, does the Fed even need to cut rates for the stock market to go up? No, clearly not, right? We see the stock market rallying really nicely. We are about 1% away from all-time highs. Now, I see a lot of people on Twitter talking about, oh, the market is going to crash now. Guess what? We've never been 1% away from all-time highs and crashed. Now, it would be healthy to get a pullback because we do have quite a few unmitigated imbalances down here, but it doesn't look like, we're with CPI today. I don't know, who knows if PPI is terrible tomorrow, but I doubt it. The prospect of hitting all-time highs before addressing any of these in a correction, I think is a lot higher, right? Now, one thing that I wanted to talk about, I'm gonna shut this off real quick. We'll go back to CNBC if we have to, but I don't think we will. We could just wait until market opens. One thing that I want to talk about that I made a Twitter post about yesterday is this idea of narrative busting, right? I think a lot of people don't understand this, and it is one of the easiest technical signals to trade. So when you have candles like the Liberation Day candle, and that's closed above, right? That is a technical signal that the market is putting it behind you, right? When I was bullish on Tesla and everyone was saying, why are you bullish on Tesla with Elon and Trump going at it? If you look at this right here was the peak fear candle, right? This is when Tesla dropped 14% because of that spat between Elon and Trump. And what I posted yesterday was that if we close above this, that is now behind us. And what is going to be ahead of us is robotaxi enthusiasm. And aside from the narrative busting program that I'm talking about, it really helps that robotaxi is not a one-day event. It's going to be a month-long rollout. And if it progressively gets better, I think that Tesla's path to 400 is a pretty easy one, in my opinion. Same thing happened with Google, right? This right here was the peak fear candle. This is when that Apple employee came out and said that Google searches were down on iOS devices, minus 7% peak fear. Once we closed above it, it's off to the races. You can go back to DeepSeek with NVIDIA, right? The DeepSeek candle. Once that was closed above, it was off to the races. So there is the this what I like to call, I actually haven't heard anyone coin it. Maybe I don't know. I might coin this term, but narrative busting program, right? And we are seeing that now with the indices as well. We no longer have that bearish divergence either between ES and NQ with those March 3rd highs, as ES just took those March 3rd highs, right? In terms of today's CPI, though, I do think that this manipulation is to the upside. So I do think that, we have this consolidation, this manipulation to the upside. I think the trade is most likely, before market opens, is most likely going to fill this imbalance. Before the market opens. I'm looking at potentially taking a trade on NQ here. If we get a CISD. So would like a 2-minute at least. What? People are fucking weird, bro. Let's check on IWM. Now oh hell yeah. The reason I was bullish on the Russell 2000, obviously the technical pattern, but like I told you, small caps will benefit disproportionately from deregulation and from the passing of a government spending bill. And I think that IWM is going to catch up. And I think that the Russell 2000 from this point in the short term is the best setup of all the indices. So still in a third of those IWM calls that I sent out. I feel bad for West Coast people waking up earlier. Well, okay. Let's see if we get a... So we're in the daily fair value gap. I think you're too late. If you want to trade leverage IWM now, dude, I made a video about this 2 weeks ago, and then another one a week ago, and then another one a few days ago. Obviously gave the signal to the Discord when I took the trade, but now you want to go leveraged after 1, 2, 3, 4 gap ups? Cool, buddy. This is why most people lose in trading. They're just chasing. They're just chasing, and not only do they want to chase, they want to chase leveraged. Amazing. You could see that we have S&T here too. ES took data highs, NQ didn't. And we now have data low. That right there is the CPI candle. I might actually move this down here. Let's see if we can get this. I'm gonna take this in my real money account too. $21,945.50. Well, the bias was right. So I took this in my real money account. Didn't get filled on this one, but I think we're going to data low. We are hitting the macro in 1 minute. I'm not going to chase price on the prop accounts here. If we do get a re-entry, one second here. I want to see if I can add to this trade. I think we're going to data low, 21,945.50. Is this 2 to 1? No, this is more like 3.5 to 1. So ES took data high, NQ didn't. And by data high, I mean the 830 candle, the 830 1-minute candle, right? That's the CPI drop. So data highs and lows are very important. I was waiting for NQ to take it, but ES took it. And since ES took it and NQ didn't, that leaves bearish divergence here. But I do want to monitor ES because if ES hits data low before NQ, then I'll be out of this trade. But so far, NQ is weaker. And there's the divergence there. You see that? ES made a higher high, NQ made a lower high. Unfortunately, I didn't get filled in all accounts. But I'm hoping to get here by the time the market opens. I don't want to be in this during market open because market open, a lot of times you see wicks, manipulation wicks right as the market opens, and I don't want to be manipulated. Why use multiple accounts? The fuck? I don't know, dog. Why would you use multiple accounts? Let's think about this logically. To make less money, I guess. The obvious answer is to make more money. I just want to see us fall from here. I don't want to retrace back up. Instead of being rude, explain it. Bro, it's a joke. Calm down. I might get an opportunity here. DJ Chotis 1 is being the biggest Karen of the day. First Karen of the morning. One, two, three. What I don't like about this. Tommy Look, appreciate it. People that are asking me about Tesla calls and puts, guys, the market's not open yet. You cannot trade calls and puts right now. Hence why we're trading futures. Anonymous, appreciate your donation. Serrano, thank you, man, for always donating. Come on. You can do it. Okay, I wonder if there's a re-entry here. 3 minute or 5 minute. Yes, we take out those equal highs. Okay, I got the entry in the prop accounts too. Played the continuation there. Off the 3-minute fair value gap. Target is still 830 lows. Hell yeah. Up 420 per account. Love it. I'll explain this trade in full when it's done. Win, lose, or break even. I'll explain it to you guys. But the reason that I trade more than one account, to whoever was asking, if you go to my channel and you search for copy trading or how to copy trades or whatever, I talk about prop accounts and how to copy your trades among several prop accounts, right? Because all you need is one good trade. And if you have 10, 20 accounts, that propagates over all those accounts. So that's why I do that. Hell yeah. I'm glad to give you guys an entry for those that missed the initial entry. If we get to data low, this might be the easiest CPI trade ever. Obviously, feel free to take profits. For me, I'd much rather wait until data low. Now, there is a point at which we get closer to market open and this becomes a more precarious situation. Because the closer you get to market open, the more volatile it is, right? So I have no doubt that we'll get to data low. It's just a matter of managing the trade within volatility. If that makes sense. I don't think you should be copy trading if you haven't gotten a payout yet. If that answers your question. Hmm. Oh, gold had a nice short too, yeah. What about QQQ? Wait till the market opens, bro. To 06025. I better move this up because I don't want to get cooked. Breakaway. Why did you take MNQ and not MES? I didn't take MNQ or MES. This is NQ. The body's respecting 50% of the range that you have drawn out. Does that make you doubt it will continue down? I don't think about trades like that typically, right? So those of you that are saying, oh, it's taking too long, do you doubt it now? Like Alex Lemberg, or this question that you asked, what's your name? Sorry. Kowal. Oh, what's up, Kowal? It doesn't make me doubt my draw on liquidity. Again, you're just managing risk within expected volatility, right? So the fact that it's respecting the body now doesn't make me any less confident that 830 low will get taken out. But the closer that we get to market open, where we tend to see liquidity wicks, if we're stuck here, that would make me more wary about the current trade, just because we can get stopped out and it can go to the draw on liquidity. So the draw on liquidity, to me, like what's happening here doesn't make me less confident in the draw on liquidity. But I still have a trade, right? Like if it was just a matter of calling price and saying price is going to go there. Yeah, that's one thing. But you still have a trade with a stop limit, with a take profit, etc. So calling price is not enough, right? This is why trading is so hard, because if you just traded with no stop limit and no risk, unlimited risk, no stops, you can call price all day. But it's a matter of being able to call price and find an entry that then keeps you within the trade for that price to hit, if that makes sense. That's why that's why there's such a big difference between being able to call price and being able to trade. But my risk is so limited here. We're talking about 20 points in order to gain, I don't know, a couple $1,000s, that I will likely stay in the trade. And if my stop hits, then I'll just find another one. But I like the risk to reward here. But like Alex was asking about, it looks like we're failing to drop. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is psyching yourself out during waiting, in the waiting game, right? When price looks like it's stalling, your mind immediately says, oh, it might not get to those of you that are experienced have seen this time and time again, right? When price is stalling, you remove your trade because it's not moving within the time that your mind has manufactured was the appropriate amount of time. And so you remove your trade and it ends up going to your target after consolidating for 35 minutes, right? This is one of the biggest mistakes that I think traders make, where if I remove my trade now, sure, I didn't take a loss. And I even made a nice little win of $400 per account. But over time, that's going to kill your R multiple and it's going to kill your profitability, right? Like once moving from a break-even trader to a profitable trader, these little adjustments make all the difference in the world, where leaving your trade, not psyching yourself out within a manufactured time frame that your mind just made up because it's taking quote unquote too long, right? And letting your trade play out for potentially thousands of dollars as opposed to $400. That is what makes the difference between someone achieving profitability and someone who's in that break-even zone. Trust me, I'm only saying this because I've been there, right? And I still, obviously I'm not perfect. I still suffer from it, where if something takes too long. I did this yesterday with the Tesla call options, right? I ended up closing them in the morning. For those of you in the Discord know that. I ended up closing them for break-even. Tesla ran like 5% on the day. Those calls would have been up like, I don't know, 100%. So, don't psych yourself out just because something is not playing to your liking. If you have a target and you have a setup, just stay in it. Now, that's not to say that if, say, in 14 minutes, if you don't want to stay in the trade because market open can be volatile and violent, that's different, right? Like if I'm staying in the trade and we get to 929 and I don't want to be in the trade because my risk says don't be in the trade at market open, if those are your rules, yes, you can take the trade off, if that makes sense. But if you're within the normal time windows and you're in a good setup, you don't want to take the trade off just because it's consolidating. You never consider the time it takes to move? No. What are your settings for the fib tool? The normal settings. Will you explain how you set a stop pre-market? These are futures, so they trade 23 hours a day. If you're trading options, you can't. I think these equal highs will get taken out. At market open. Basically where my entry is. Let's see, if I move it to 068 above that. Oh, 068. Yeah, when the market opens, I'll get into stocks, guys. All right. MACD is one of the worst indicators to try to day trade from. It's a lagging indicator. It's fine if you're talking about long-term investing, but oh, Tesla's up $10 pre-market. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a fair warning here. There is 9 minutes until market open. At market open, especially on CPI day, you could get your stops taken out because of wild wicks. Now, I happen to like the setup that I'm in. Okay? And the risk to reward is really high here for me. So I'm risking a couple $100 to make 2,000. I'm risking like $300 to make 2,000. I happen to like that trade, and I happen to like those odds, and I have a drawn liquidity at 8:30. If you're not comfortable keeping your trade open until market open, take this profit here. I'm telling you right now. All right? It's up 300 per contract, depending on when you got in. This one's up 500. Take the profit if you want. Which is the best indicator for day trading? Price. What tools do you use? This is TradingView, not Sierra charts. I'm hoping we manipulate down and just make it easy to 8:30 low. But it's not about what you want. It's about what the market gives you. Six minutes until market open. I'll be right back. 1 second. All right, sorry. Now, what could happen also at market open is we take 830 high on NQ, since that wasn't taken, before addressing the low. Two minutes to market open. And oh shit. In order to manage risk, I'm gonna set this on my real money account to break even. And on the props, I'll keep it open. If that makes sense. Since I have both positions open in multiple accounts. So that's how I'm gonna manage risk. Nice flush, guys, nice flush. Oh, we have SMT here. Keep going. These are the types of wicks I'm talking about at market open. Keep going. I want it to get to 830. What's crazy is ES is flushing, but NQ isn't. Let's go. If ES taps 830, I'm out of both, guys. Whichever one taps 830 first. Looks like ES is going to first. This is the manipulation down. 1100 per count, I'm out. 1300, I'm out. I'm out. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So for those of you asking me, I'm going to explain the trade in a second, guys. I'm going to explain the trade in a second. But first, I want to see some W's in the chat if you took this trade. Hell yeah. I'll explain the trade in a second. 1200, quick 1200 on CPI. Also took it in the copied accounts. All right, guys, I'm going to explain the trade right now. Whoopsie. And I'll talk a little bit about copying accounts. Now, I didn't expect to take this trade all the way until market open, right? At 8:30, we got this divergence between NQ and ES, and we got a CISD. This is a change in the state of delivery. So these green candles, this is your order block. That right there, when we close below, that signals that order flow is about to change, okay? I don't really rely on 1 minute CISDs. I like 3 minute or 5 minute. In the case of CPI, because you're dealing with such a minute time frame, I will accept 2 minute. Not really gonna look at a 1 minute CISD. That right there was a signal, right? This is when I had entered on my real money account. Now, I missed the entry on my prop accounts, okay? When I entered on the prop accounts was in this 3 minute fair value gap. So I entered here on my real money, missed the initial entry, but we don't need to fret because we can find a continuation setup. 3 minute fair value gap, entered there. 8:30 low was my target. But we have to keep in mind that indices play with each other and give us divergences all the time. So just as ES took the data high and NQ didn't, ES can take the data low and NQ doesn't have to. So right when market opened, what we saw was ES flushing and NQ lagging a bit, which showed me that NQ might now have flipped strength, right, in the interim. So when we flushed down towards my drawn liquidity, which is data low, 8:30, which is when CPI was released, ES got to the body low of that 8:30 low candle. And that is when I took profits on my NQ, right? I still think eventually both ES and NQ will sweep 8:30 low. It's just a matter, again, of managing your trade. Like, do I want to be in a retracement all the way back up before that low gets taken out? No, I don't. I'm already up 3-1. So I'm not going to be a dick for a tick right at market open when we are going to see some massive wicks, and we already got 3-1 at the body of the candle, of the data candle. That's why I took profits, right? If I was a dick for a tick and I waited for that wick, I'm suffering through these pullbacks here for no reason when I'm already up 3-1. So it's like, what more do I have to gain versus how much more stress do I have to endure if I'm already at an optimal R, if that makes sense. Just giving you a process of how my mind works in real time while managing risk. And for those asking, why do I copy accounts? Just leverage, same trade multiple times. So that same 1100 copied on, I don't know, 10, 20 accounts. All you need is one trade as opposed to trying to find trade after trade after trade to try to build your account up, right? Obviously, this can work the other way, meaning if I take a loss, you're propagating that loss over multiple accounts as well. So you still have to manage your risk the same way you would with one account, right? But now what you do in one account propagates to multiple accounts. So I trade real capital on the side with the prop accounts. And that way one trade can end up, or not necessarily one trade, but my trading progress over weeks and months can be multiplied. But I don't advocate anybody trading multiple accounts if they're not yet profitable or haven't taken a payout, right? You should at least be able to get to a payout phase on one account before now thinking about copying. And if you want a tutorial on how to copy your trades and how to set it up and everything, you could search on YouTube how to copy trades, the traveling trader, or trade copying the traveling trader. And for those asking, yeah, I trade live every single morning. I trade futures live every single morning. How is CISD determined? Okay, CISD, you have to know what an order block is, first of all. So if you don't know what an order block is, get yourself acquainted. But a CISD is a closure below the order block. Now, not just any order block, but the order block that is at a major liquidity. So I'm going to take ES as an example because it is the one that actually took liquidity. And if you don't understand divergence, it's going to be a little harder to understand with NQ. Like why this is a liquidity sweep on NQ, even if it didn't sweep liquidity, is just because of that divergence. So let's just look at ES real quick. And this is why I took profits. Look at this. Like we're going to have to suffer through all this bullshit just to get a couple more points to 830 low. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of managing risk and being well acquainted with how the market operates at market open. So this, the series of green candles in a row, right? The last up close candle or last series of up close candles, that's your order block, these green candles. Now the order block that happens that causes a liquidity sweep, in this case, that's an 830 high. This is the CPI high, which is a major form of liquidity or a major liquidity level. This right here, 830 high, right? This is the order block that got you there. So this series of green candles, it could be one, it could be two, it could be four, right? This series of green candles is your order block. That right there is the body of the last of that series. That's your order block. A closure below that is the CISD, change in the state of delivery. So it gives you a clue that order flow is about to change, and we're now going to target the opposing liquidity, which is data low. This is your opposing liquidity. So we sweep liquidity, change order flow by closing below this order block, heading towards where? Opposing liquidity. What is opposing liquidity? There's a ton of liquidities, but because we're not looking for a perfect trade, we're looking for an optimal trade. The most optimal area of liquidity is 830 low. Does that mean that's liquidity for the day? No. We could go down to London, Asia. Like there's a ton of unaddressed liquidities, right? But we're talking about an optimal trade. So that right there is the opposing liquidity for the time being. If that gets breached, obviously you have London, you have yesterday's low, etc. Those are all forms of liquidity. The CISD an indicator? No, I drew that line. I drew that line manually. I do not advocate using indicators for this stuff because you won't get in the habit of understanding the fundamentals. What is the case for the breakout to the upside? I'm not there yet, bro. But the case for the breakout to the upside is sweeping liquidity. So if NQ and or ES sweeps 830 low, and gives you divergence, which would be even more ideal, and you get now a CISD to the upside, then you can take a long. When should we take a trade? Come on, fool. We just closed the trade. What do you mean, when should we take a trade? I'm going to look at stocks now that the market is open and we're out of this trade. Hi, we are at 2.3%, but 1.8% true inflation. Dude, inflation numbers don't matter. The news is just a driver for liquidity to happen. So if on CPI we started getting a move down, then my trade would be more favored to the upside off of that manipulation. I don't care what CPI is. CPI actually came in really, really nicely. But for today, it doesn't matter what CPI is. What matters is where's the manipulation, and can you take a trade following the manipulation to the opposing side. Manipulation is the clue, right? I think the mistake that a lot of traders make is they try to follow the manipulation, right? They're like, oh, CPI is good, price is going up, I'm gonna try to follow this. Not understanding that the market is made to manipulate in order to take liquidity. The market doesn't care today if CPI is good or bad. The market cares about taking liquidity, right? So this right here is grabbing all of the dummy buy orders and all of the chasing, and they're grabbing all this buy side liquidity to short it. So you want to follow this. You want to see where the manipulation is, liquidity sweep, ride it, right, with those large institutions that are riding this short down by manipulating all of this buy side. You want to be on this side, not on this side. You want to trade after the manipulation. You don't want to trade the manipulation. It's so much easier because you just can wait and you don't have to chase. What props do you use for copy trading? My funded futures and Top Step. And I recently signed on to Apex again. I stopped trading Apex for a while, but I recently got some Apex evaluation accounts too. And I have a Trade-of-8 real money account that's mixed in there. So Thinkorswim real money, Trade-of-8 real money, Top Step, My Funded Futures, Apex. On days manipulation become the actual move, do you just sit out? I'm not sure I understand that question. There it goes. NQ took the 830 low. That's what we're targeting, right? But again, I don't want to suffer through this just for a couple of extra points. I was happy where we got out. And now we look for a more optimal trade. Yes, I use public for options. Waiting is so hard. Yeah, I mean, but it's because you haven't seen the results of your trading yet. You haven't seen real results from your trading yet. That's why you think that. If you've seen real results from your trading over and over and over, and you understand that you're making up the time in your mind, right? You're making up the optimal time in your mind. If the trade isn't moving and I'm feeling hesitant because it isn't moving, like that time is arbitrary. That means nothing. That's just you making it up, because at the end of the day, you are an ape that needs action. in order to think that something is happening. I'm hoping we see a pullback on some stocks here. So now that Tesla filled the gap, it would be cool if we see a pullback until Robotaxi, but no, I'm not calling him an ape, dude. I'm saying you're an ape, as in you're human, as in we're all apes. I'm not calling him an ape. Why are you guys retarded? That's what I want to know. I don't answer thoughts questions, bro. Sorry. Ask a more specific question. We have this gap up on Tesla, so I wonder if this gets filled before seeing a long. I'm gonna wait on this gap on Tesla here. I'm gonna set an alert at around 326. If this gap gets filled, I might look for a long. Welcome, user 88. Yeah, I think we start getting pullbacks here, which would be welcome to continue higher. This might be the long, I'll be honest. Dun, 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 dun. So we took out 830 low, and we now have divergence between NQ and ES, bullish divergence. This could be a long for then ES to take out that 830 high eventually. Is there any resource to understand what we were trading here? I mean, you could join and watch me live trade every day. We are going to be opening up the mastermind soon, which has been closed to the public and will remain closed to the public. So it will be by application only going forward. That I would say is the quickest resource to learn how to trade like this. Certainly you can learn for free on your own. Frederick, it's all about the intention, man. Thank you. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'll announce the mastermind in the Discord, but it's not going to be open to the public. So if you're in the Discord, you'll see the applications for the mastermind, but we're no longer gonna open that up for people to just sign up. It was a business decision based on the fact that I felt like a lot of people who signed up for the mastermind weren't serious about learning how to trade, and they just wanted something easy. What I'm thinking here is I don't think we're set up for a long yet, guys. I think this bullish divergence will take us up to about halfway of this move, like in that 5-minute fair value gap, and I think we go lower to address some more of that liquidity below. So I don't think this is a long besides a scalp. And I think we can actually drop from here. And we have 930 there too. That's my thesis. So I wouldn't long this just yet, unless you're scalping. I have my alert set on Tesla for the day. Netflix is a stock that I was looking at here. Since we dropped from 1260 to 0.5 of the range at around 1182, I wonder if this is the extent of the Tesla drop. Netflix drop, but I don't think so. I think when Netflix gets to all-time highs, it likes to do these sell models. So my target for Netflix is still around 1100. But I want to see if there's an optimal multi-day short. There might be off here. There might be off here. How much does the mastermind cost? A lot. Broadcom's up 2%. Yeah, but I don't think Broadcom is in the clear yet, because if you look at this, this level here is now was resistance, fell below, and it's resistance again. A few weeks ago, you recommended Soxel. Yeah, we bought Soxel at $7, which is crazy. I think we have more news, guys. Hold on. If I remember correctly. Oh, yeah. No, there's a bond auction at 1, not at 10. Any open positions? You must have joined late. We just shorted NQ. Do I have open positions? Yeah, I always have open positions. But do you mean did I open a position today besides the NQ short that I just closed? No. Yep. What did I tell you guys on the indices? I think we get rejected here and go lower. I'm looking to see if can we trade down on Broadcom? I would favor Broadcom dropping from here. I think if Broadcom closes, so this is the resistance level I was talking about, but I think if Broadcom closes below this, then I think it turns red on the day. So I'll be monitoring this. I'm going to set an alert here. So I have an alert on Tesla. I have an alert on Broadcom. Obviously, it could reject off here and go higher, but that's not the trade I want to make today. Wow, ASML with another gap up. If we close above 800, I'm gonna be so happy. We picked this up at 600. Yeah, I think I might buy Netflix puts, for multi-day puts, not a day trade. I'll send that out, guys, in the Discord if I take it. But that's what I'm looking at for today, because I think Netflix can continue dropping to that 1100 mark. It does these like sell models every time it's at all-time highs. Right? You can see this time and time again. So I think here will be no different. Plus, I looked at the Netflix's valuation. It's just insane right now. I think it's due for a correction down to 1100 or so. No, I gotta wait till Tesla fills that gap. How expensive are Netflix puts? So I can't access the mastermind. If you're in the Discord, I will send out applications for the mastermind. So Discord link is below. If you're not in the Discord, all good. Uber, what do you want me to look at on Uber? Guys, ask a specific question. Don't just shout ticker symbols at me. To copy trades, just YouTube, the traveling trader, how to copy trades. As I said, as the Tesla robotaxi narrative heats up, I think there will be an interim stall on Uber. If bond sell happens at 1 today, it will happen at 1 today. What do you mean if? I'm glad we caught the optimal move of the day so far. Wow, Palantir hit another all-time high today. Crazy. So right now I'm only looking at Tesla for a potential day trade and Netflix for a potential swing trade. Short. If you look at stocks, a lot of them are just in this ugly barcoding pattern since the market opened. RTY looks interesting, huh? Is today's news more important than tomorrow's news? For what? In terms of what? What does that mean? PPI versus CPI? Yeah, I know, but what does more important mean? Like in what context? What are you trying to determine? Which is more important to the Fed and the market? Bro, you're gonna drive me crazy. What do you mean important to the market? Like in what context? Neither of the news is going to make the market rally or not, okay, if that's what you're expecting. One CPI print is not going to make a difference in the market. So, not sure what you're trying to determine. I wonder if there's a long on the Dow Jones. James G, you look tired, brother. Imagine being such a fuckboy that is what you're concerned with. How another man looks. I woke up in the morning and turned on this camera, and that's what you're worried about. Wow, somebody looks tired in the morning. How about you worry about your trading? Imagine somebody walked into your shitty job in the morning and saw you at your desk. I was like, James G, you look really tired. No shit, motherfucker. I woke up at 7 and got to work. Same shit here. If you're watching the stream to determine whether to give a man compliments or non-compliments, congrats. You are a fuckboy. I think there might be a long on YM here. But for sure on the indices, price is stalling. Yes, there are options for the Dow. You can easily use Google and type. Man, this generation is cooked. How about just type in the question in Google as opposed to the chat? What is the ETF for the Dow Jones? Wow, DIA. Google had the answer. DIA. Holy shit. There's an ETF for the Dow Jones. Thank you, Google. I guess search is not dead after all. Wow, I'm happy that we took that trade when we did because honestly, oh, there it goes. I think YM gets to 43,200. Let me see if I can take a trade. It's because we've outsourced thinking. That's true. That is true. See if I can catch a second trade here. Testing 930. Let's see, 1020. RTY, YM. Or do we bounce off there and set the stop there? I might take this 4-to-1 trade on YM with a really tight stop off of 930 in this 5-minute fair value gap. Oh shit, let me go to the trading panel. Wait, was that YM or RTY? Oh, it was RTY, sorry guys. This will be 3 to 1 at the 0.5. Or do we come down to this 5-minute fair value gap? Are you posting on the Discord or someone on your behalf? What? Why is this not copying? There's a whole lot of money in this motherfucker. Whatever Discord you join, I would say that if that person is not live streaming their trades, you probably should not be in that Discord. If you're just looking for signals, I don't think you should be trading at all. I think you should just passively invest. You'll never, ever, ever, ever get rich off signals, ever. And if a person is not live trading, you probably shouldn't join that person, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, do what you like. Yeah, I don't quite like where the indices are here. I might take this trade off at break even. As the indices move into OTE and YM hasn't really moved beyond this. So we're at dead break even here. And I think that if ES and NQ, if they don't reach for more highs and they stall here at this fib level, then I think everything's going to go down. So I might take this trade off. Yeah, I took this trade off at around break even here. I'm particularly love this setup because if we get rejected here on NQ and ES, YM is going to drop as well. And I think there's a very big case for the indices to get rejected off here since we already took 830 data highs. Let's see. Either way, I don't love this trade, so I don't want to be in it right now. I think we can find a better trade. Really, besides the morning short that we took on NQ, there isn't much here. And Netflix is entering my area for a multi-day short. You went short on NQ? Yeah, you can rewind it. We went short live on NQ. Why is the market moving slow despite of the okay core CPI numbers? Because news doesn't matter. Or at least that news doesn't matter. Yeah, this right here, right now, what's going on right now is not something I'm totally interested in. Would you short gold? Bro, this was the gold short. Why do you want to short gold now at the bottom? There's a macro coming up at 10:50, which is in 17 minutes. And I want to see if there's an optimal short on the indices. I don't want to long the indices here, but I think there may be a short if it confirms. And that's what I'm interested in. Could you explain how to draw your fib? No, not right now. I'm trying to find a trade. We'd be very careful shorting this on a Wednesday, sir. And then rewind the tape, sir, and see the huge short that we already took in the morning. What's your target IWM sell level? I think you should already be taking profits if you're in an IWM swing trade. What the fuck is going on here? So what I want to see here as we approach 1050 is, does NQ finally want to go for that 830 high that ES took and NQ didn't, which led to the short in the morning? Or do we stall at OTE here and then give confirmation? So wow, Netflix puts are so expensive, $6,000. If that's too much for you, I would consider turning this into a put spread. So buying the put and selling a higher one. But this is what I'm thinking for today, not for a day trade. What? Interesting. All right. RTY is still stuck where I entered. I don't trade out of the money puts, bro. Chase. That's how you're gonna get your money burned. 718, 950 put is nowhere near optimal enough. We're getting sluggish. Yeah, I'm gonna wait to see if we get a move during the 1050 macro. And if we don't, then we made our money for the day and you go have fun or go work out or go back to work or whatever. What's going on in your head with Netflix? Interesting. We are also at 0.5 at the hourly candle of the 4-hour candle wick. Wow. We are at 0.5 of the wick. Four-hour candle is a no trade candle? What does that even mean, bro? What does that even mean? You were scanning unusual whales. What were you looking for? I was looking for unusual options activity. Why do you look so miserable and mad? Because your mom won't stop blowing up my phone, bro. No matter how many times I change my number, she finds it. She's relentless. You know what's so funny? I've been trading for so long. And just like with playing poker, I can tell who is going to remain unprofitable for the majority of their trading career. And it's people like that their brains are so fried with stimulus that they can't get out of the ancillary remarks and focus on trading. Like, their brain won't allow them to. It's the TikTok generation. All right, so we're about, maybe I'll do the 3-minute instead. Rajesh, if you don't stop asking me about the fib, bro, I'm gonna ban you. You're getting super annoying right now while I'm trying to find a trade. You can easily YouTube how to use the Fibonacci. Otherwise, sit your ass tight and wait until I'm done trading. I'm not gonna break this flow just to answer a question that you can easily Google or YouTube. Why are they worried about you? Because they have nothing better to do, bro. Like, if you were profitable or you were actually looking for a trade, clearly you wouldn't be worried about how someone looks when they just woke up. Do you get out of a trade that starts consolidating unless it's an A+ setup? No. I mean, you can rewind the stream to the beginning where the trade was consolidating. I wonder if this is a continuation to 830 high, or do we confirm a short here? Appreciate it, Surf. Caleb, they're not pissing me off. They're just peons. It's like, I don't know, it's like when you're playing basketball. You just talk shit back. The problem is people don't expect you to talk shit back. That's the problem. fuckboys don't want to be talked back to because it hurts their feelings. So they'd rather dish it out. And the minute you talk back, they start crying. What can I do? This is a really, really interesting level here. I wonder if we get a short. Are you shorting Netflix? Not for a day trade. I'm thinking about this for a multi-day trade, meaning a swing trade. So, not for today. I don't think I've seen you short ever. Wait, weren't you here in the morning? Trade Wolf, appreciate you. If you're here in the morning, you saw me short. Whoops. I think 2 weeks out is a very shitty proposition, Jason. I think if you're going to trade options, you want to give yourself a chance to win. This is the problem. People throw money at options as if it's a lottery ticket. So they want something to happen quickly. 2 weeks out is terrible for an expensive stock like Netflix especially. Just giving you my 2 cents. Palantir, I don't think there's any reason to short. It made an all-time high today. Trying to short something that is running with momentum just because your logic is it's gone up, so now it must go down. Also a terrible way to trade, and also a recipe for losing money. Just my 2 cents, bro. If you really want to learn how to trade options, you should do away with the gambler's fallacy of it's gone up, it must go down. That's going to burn you. And you should do away with trying to buy short-term options and hope that the move is made so that you hit the lottery, as opposed to buying longer-term options and being able to monitor the move without losing a bunch of money in theta decay that's unnecessary. Yeah, exactly. T1. That's exactly right. I don't think I'm going to short core weave, no. Not just yet. There will be a short setup, but not just yet. Something like core weave, here's what you want to wait for, right? You want to wait for a break of structure and a retest. You do not want to short the first red candle you see. It would have burned you here, 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 here. Again, another recipe for losing money. Whoever that was, appreciate your donation, Anonymous. Deep in the money and will roll if necessary. It doesn't matter. Theta still takes effect on deep in the money. You're much better going at the money and out, which will cost you the same amount of money. So far is a pretty sleepy macro. What is the best approach to find a winning strategy? Playbook. Your strategies probably require significant amounts of experience. I think, based on your question, I think you should be prepared to put in a lot of work, regardless of what your strategy is. So it sounds like you are considering time in your decision. You should already be bought into the fact that trading will take you a lot of time. It's the same as being good at golf or poker or basketball. Trading will take you a lot of time, and you already have to accept that. So time shouldn't be a consideration for you, right? The first few years when you start trading, you shouldn't be looking to make money. Obviously, making money is awesome, but your goal should be to build your foundation. That's what your goal should be. Hang on, I think we might have something here. But your goal should be to build your foundation. In order to find a winning strategy, you should determine whether you want to day trade or swing trade. Like, what is, depending on your time commitments and your job and your family, what type of trading do you want to do, and then go from there. So if you want to swing trade, you can go to ChatGPT. What are the most profitable swing trading strategies? Show me data. Start there. But in my view, what you'll come to find over the long term is it is much less about strategy and much more about risk management. So if I'm trading, I can go into some examples after I'm done trading, but if you look at, say, a 921 EMA, or you look at a break and retest, or you look at ICT, or you look at whatever, a number of these strategies, right? if you manage your risk and you only take trades within that framework, you will get a better than a 50% win rate. And as long as you are making at least 2 to 1 risk to reward, regardless of your strategy, you'll be profitable. So you'll come to find out that, like, if you gave me an account and said, for the next 3 months, only trade an EMA strategy, I would manage my risk the same as I do now. And I bet you I would come out with at least a 50% win rate. Do you see an entry for NQ? This is what I'm looking at right now. So give me a second. Who's this fuckboy? Stop playing. Man, these guys are such Karens. There could be an entry. RTY is still consolidating. So true, risk management is what makes and breaks you. Yeah, for sure. I wonder if there's a gold long here. When you talk about win rate, is that per contract? No. Win rate is how many trades do you win versus how many trades do you lose. So 50% win rate means you win 50% of the trade you take. Over the long term, if you have a win rate that's 50% or more, you are a badass trader. As long as your risk to reward is skewed to disproportionately to the reward side. Man, Tesla's just chopping around. Guys, I think we caught the optimal trade of the day. What I'm looking to see here is, does this divergence between ES and NQ remain? But days like this, you tend to get a big move during lunch, which I typically don't make a habit of trading lunch. Thank you for the class. You're welcome. What? Guys, I made you guys $1,300 today, and there's only 379 likes here. That's not right. And I'm giving you guys endless lessons. Hit the thumbs up. Do the channel a favor so that other people can find this stream. I appreciate it. Do you think Tesla going to come back to 300? No. SPX will hit all-time high this month. Wow, bro, such a revelation. You think SPX is going to hit all-time high? Dude, next time I get a lottery ticket, I need to get one from you. You need to give me your numbers. We are 1.3% away from all-time high. And you think we're going to hit an all-time high? No way, bro. No way. Appreciate you, Dallas. You shouldn't have gone to the gym first. See? That's called trying to be insulting, but actually giving a compliment. I haven't yet been to the gym. I'm about to go to the gym after I'm done here. Yeah, Paul, that's actually a good that's a good comment, that the auction at 1 p.m., the bond auction at 1 p.m., which is a 10-year bond auction, is something that the market is likely waiting for as well. Art, welcome aboard. What is your opinion on traders who solely trade SPY QQQ? Yeah, I solely trade S&P and NASDAQ. We're talking about day trade, right? Most of the time I'm day trading S&P and NASDAQ, but I'm not trading options, I'm trading futures because it's a lot easier to make money. And in the US you get tax benefits. West. Yeah, I think Sun Tzu did say that. Killer Cam. Yeah, I'm with you. That is my wild prediction that the S&P 500 will hit all-time highs. My win rate hovers between 55 and 65% with a almost 3-to-1 risk to reward. Joey Mack, appreciate you, man. Thank you. All right, I don't think we get another trade here. Looking for a potential Netflix multi-day short. Off of this 4-hour fair value gap. I'll send it out in the Discord if I take it. RTY is still barcoding here. We caught the short on NASDAQ this morning after CPI. I was looking for a Tesla long for today, but if it fills this gap down to 326, I think that'll be a gift for the coming days of Robotaxi, as momentum is stalling out here. Oh, we might get the trade now. What the hell? Oh, man. Then it starts to run. Oh, well. So for those of you that were challenging my thesis for a short and kept saying, I wouldn't short here. Look at the 4-hour chart. There you go. Oh well. And that's what I mean when I was saying in the beginning, there's a big difference between calling price and entering an optimal trade. I can call price all day. Doesn't mean you have a trade. Oh well. Well, that was the short I was looking for. Just straight death. I wouldn't short here. We already hit 0.5% of the range. That would have been my target. So, nice exit on RTY. We would have got stopped out, by the way. My stop was right there. But that also means there's likely a long here. So we manipulated down to 0.5. I think there might be a long here on RTY. Yeah, this is consolidation, manipulation. Let's see if we get a close here. So we manipulated down to 0.5, that 5-minute fair value gap. If we get a close here, then I'll likely take a long. Yes, I think the SPY will be green this month. Yeah, that's not a revelation. The SPY is already up 2%. Oh God. One second. Dun, 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 dun. Any recommendations for tools to track win rate? Check TradeZella. I should have a discount code in the description. That's the best tool. Julia, appreciate your donation to St. Jude's. Thank you. Why do you choose not to trade lunch? Because my stats aren't great during lunch, and price action tends to seek low level liquidity, or low volume liquidity, sorry. How do you know when to close a short position this morning? I described exactly why and when to close it, but it was based off of the 8:30 data lows. So CPI came out at 8:30 and we created a top wick and a bottom wick. Both of those are considered liquidity. What do you expect SPY to close at today? I don't know, bro. This is not Wheel of Fortune. People try to get those predictions out of me so that they can buy options specifically for that prediction. That's not how trading works. That drop was just liquidity. Yeah, I was expecting that. Let me put it this way. I was expecting a short. Obviously, I'm not expecting that drop right at that minute, but I was expecting that short. Back testing and forward testing is important, yes. But I would say nothing is better than compiling your own stats on your own trades and then making modifications from there. Wow. Where do you think Tesla closes today? 0. I think it goes to 0 today. Big possibility. What's the weather going to end up like being in an hour? Well, luckily I have a weather app that can tell me exactly when it starts and stops raining. Are you short? I was short this morning. And right now, I'm not in a position. All right, guys. Glad we made money. I went through a lot of questions, went through the trade, tried to give you guys as much information as possible. I'm looking at a potential multi-day Netflix short that I will send out in the Discord if I take it. I will likely not take another day trade until the bond auction at 1 p.m. So if you are in a trade, watch out for the bond auction. You don't want to get sideswiped by any wicks. If you want an explanation of the trade we took, just rewind the tape and go earlier. And you can see the exact time, you can see the exact trade. I took it live in multiple accounts, and then I explained the trade after. But I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys. For those of you in the Discord, I'll see you in the Discord. If you're not, sign up below. Look out for mastermind applications going to be sent out soon for the next session. Again, mastermind no longer open to the public, so that will be sent out in the Discord. Appreciate you guys. Peace.